happen tonight. My story's not that horrifying, don't worry. My name, Margot, as you can see, M-A-R-G-O-T, has been the bane of my existence my whole life. This silent T on an American name is something that most people cannot, they're just like, I just can't wrap my brain around this. I don't understand. Why isn't it Margot? I get called Margot. I'm not exaggerating, every day of my fucking life. And my mother has recently told me, she's like, Margot, all you need to say is, you don't say tarot cards, you don't say Bridget Bardot, you don't say escargot, so why would you say Margot? Like, that's a really long-winded thing to say. What I do is I judge you as a fucking moron, and then I never let it go. Like, if you have ever called me accidentally Margot, I'm never gonna get past it. I'm just always gonna think you're stupid. So I have a thing about my name, and I've always hated my name. Also, it's America. We can't wrap our brains around it, and so like it's hard for me. I'll just say this, and it's not just Margot. I picked up a prescription at a pharmacy once, and I went up to the counter, and I was like, hi, I'm picking up a prescription for Leitman. I'm a grown woman. This woman grabbed my prescription, looked me in the eye, and looked at the package, and then went, maggot? And like, not knowing what to say, what do you say? So I just went, I'm so ashamed of my reaction. I just went, yes. So it's a rough name. It's a rough name. Found out later in life I was supposed to name Carrie after this beautiful Joni Mitchell song, for those of you familiar. And then the movie Carrie came out, starring Sissy Spacek, and my mother was worried that the other maybe babies that I was hanging out with would have seen Carrie and they would make fun of me. So we did it. We went with Margot, which has been working out well. So that's my name. I hate it. When I went away to college, I was like, this is my time to reinvent myself. Like, I don't know if those are familiar, like it was like my season 4 Friday Night Lights when they bring in Michael B. Jordan. I was like, this is gonna be, or if you haven't seen that, like in Facts of Life when they bring in Cloris Leachman, I'm like, this is the new era of me. And I'm gonna stop going by Margot in college. I'm gonna be Maggie. And I was gonna be the girl named Maggie that wore flowy dresses and played her guitar in the field. I was gonna be that girl. And I was so excited. Because, just so many years of trauma. I forgot to mention the biggest one, which is that when I would walk down the street home from school as a child, a large girl from special ed who was my bully, I know, but that was who bullied me. She would call out on the bus to me when I'd walk home from school alone, Margot Fargo farts a lot. I didn't even fart a lot at the time, so it made no sense to me. But so anyway, I was not going to be Margot Fargo farts a lot. I was going to be Maggie. I was going to be in a field picking daisies with my guitar, with my freckles on my shoulders, and I was going to be the new me in this watch out world. Here comes Maggie. So I go to college, and it's a few days before, and we're still in orientation, and I make friends with all of my first friends. You know your first friends at college, the people that kind of like live near you, and then college starts, and you make your like real friends that you really connect with, and you ditch your first friends. Do you know what I mean? So I'm with my first friends, and they are like theater dorks, and they are excited to be there. And I'm there, and this a few nights before college starts, and my friends are like, Margot, I forgot to call myself Maggie to them, and they were like, Margot, do you want to come to the theater department building when it's closed off, and we can go in the empty theaters and we can sing in the dark? And I was like, oh, I'd love to. I have no other friends, I'm new here, I'll do it. So I go with them to go sing in the dark to this empty theater building, and as we're walking into this theater building, this group of guys are walking out, and one of them is tall, with this like dark wavy hair and kind of darkish skin, and he is unironically wearing overalls with a little bit of paint stains on them, and I was like in love. Yeah. This is the late 90s, like men in overalls, I don't know, it was sort of a good time for that. And and he walks out and he goes, oh hey, are you a freshman theater major? And I go, yeah. And he goes, what's your name? And I go, Margot. And I was like, fuck, Maggie, all right, well, next person, I'll introduce myself as Maggie. And he goes, oh, it's nice to meet you, Margot. And like he had a slight French accent, and I was like, wait a minute, I could be Margot. Like I don't need to be Maggie. I could just be Margot here, and this guy's calling me. And I was like, well, what's your name? And he was like, I'm Jean-Claude. And I was like, oh my God, are you from France? And he was like, yeah. And then he goes, well, I hope to see you around, Margot. And then he walked away, And I was like, I can't believe college hasn't even started yet, and I've already met my long-term boyfriend. Oh my God, like what are the chances? Like this is gonna be great. Like he totally likes me, and I am so in love, and this is gonna be smooth sailing. So my friends go sing in the dark. I chose to observe, not a singer, and there's more orientation things happening, and another day of orientation, I go in and I get this stupid, useless thing assigned to me called an email address. And I was like, again, late 90s, should have heard of it, and I was like, well, why would anybody email when you can mail? This is dumb. I plan on not using this. They gave me that and a complimentary rape whistle. I was like, never going to use either of these things, I hope. And I went on with it. So then school starts, and I'm kind of seeing Jean-Claude from afar, and I'm like so in love with this guy, but I don't even want to say hi because I don't know how to approach him, and I'm like 18 and I don't have any skills with dudes, and I don't know what to do. But I'm like really excited about this guy. And a few weeks into school, I get my first assignment of writing a term paper in this writing class. And the teacher makes this announcement, and he's like, so for your Shakespeare paper, you can write we can start researching in class today, and if you want, you can just use any of the books we have in class, or you can go to one of the computers on the wall and you can look up some stuff on the internet. And everyone's like, okay, cool, and they walk away. And I'm sitting in my seat, and I raise my hand, and I'm really confused. And I'm like, excuse me, and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, what's the internet? And the whole class does this, right? And they're like, what do you mean you've never heard of the internet? And I was like, I haven't. And guys, this is the late night, like American Pie is in theaters right now. I mean, like Chumbawamba is like having a really good time. Soprano, like I missed it. I just missed it, okay? And I'm like, I don't know what it is. And this guy goes, well, what have you been doing the last few years? And I was like, I don't know, dancing in a field with a scarf? That's the type of person I am. Like, that's who I was. I was just like writing in my journal and like playing my guitar and dancing where no one was watching me. Like that's who I was. That's the type of teenager I was. I was on the fucking internet, which is gonna go away in like a week anyway. And so I was like, I didn't know what it was. And so I had to get this lesson. So mind you, like, it's like Shawshank. Like you've never heard of it. And then when someone explains it to you, it's fucking crazy. It's like being released from prison, right? Like what is going on? So they say to me, the teacher goes, well, the internet is a place for facts. I was like, what you do is you're gonna go over on those computers over there, and you're gonna go into one of the search engines like Lycos or AltaVista.com, and then you're gonna type in what you want to know about, and then a bunch of facts are gonna come up, and everyone like goes on with their day. And I was like, I'm from Jersey, and I got like very Jersey confrontation. I was like, excuse me, you mean to tell me I'm gonna go over there to one of those computers, type in whatever I want about anything in the world, and just like a bunch of facts are gonna come up? Okay. And he was like, yes, that's what it's been around for like 7 years. And I was like, oh God, wow. So I go over, and because I'm sort of like becoming this like theater major, finding myself and also reclaiming my name, I was like, the first thing I want to look up is my name, Margot, M-A-R-G-O-T. And so I type it in, and a bunch of things come up, but they're mostly in French because it's a French name. And so I do what we all did when we first started using the internet, which was like, something fun's up, print it. Like that's, remember? Like, picture of a tiger, print it. Email with my brother, print it. Like you just printed it. So I was like, I guess I'll just print this French poem called Margot. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna print it. And I leave, and class is over, and I was like, well, that was boring. Like I'm never using the internet again. That was not exciting. And I leave, and I go to lunch, and I walk in, and the guy I have the big crush on, Jean-Claude, is there eating with his friends. And I was like, I have this French poem. I'm like, oh my God, this is my in to talk to him again. He's from France, and I have a poem in French, and maybe he can translate it. So I'm so excited, and I go, and I want to talk to him, but first I stop and get a bowl of Lucky Charms. Because I have to say this. Did anyone else have this experience when you went to college, and you saw those big cereal things filled with like Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops? Anyone else walk in the dining hall and just go, they just leave this out? All the, like, I was like, oh my God! Anytime I want, like, I sort of like 2.5 years, I just always would just never let go of how grateful I was for them. So I first got the Lucky Charms, and then I went over to Jean-Claude's table, and he was seeing all these cool artsy guys, and I was like, hey guys, and he was like, oh, hello, Margot, and I was like, hi. So I was just in class, I was using this thing called the internet. Have you guys heard of it? And they're like, yeah, we've heard of the internet. We use it every day. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I looked at my name, and this poem came out, and it was on French, and I was wondering, Jean-Claude, if you could translate it for me. And he was like, oh, okay. And so he looks at it, and then he looks back up at me, and he's like, are you sure you want me to do that? And I was like, yeah. And so he looks at it, and he's like, okay, Margot, she is a dirty girl. Margot, she likes it all the time. Margot, she likes it really rough. Margot, she likes it really hot. And I was like, okay. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, thank you so much. And I walked away, and I could hear them just erupting in laughter at me as I walked away. And it was humiliating. And I was like, is that what the internet is? Like just people's names, date names, and then dirty things written? Like it was what the internet is. I figured it out one day, and I was so upset. And I could barely get through the rest of the day, and I was so devastated. I was like, it's never gonna happen with this guy. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be Margot or Maggie or anything. I'm just gonna be fucking Maggie or Margot farts a lot like the rest of my life. And I'm not gonna reinvent myself. And I'm such a dork. Oh, why am I such a dork? And like, I totally blew it with this guy. And I was so upset. And I go up to my dorm room. And that night, I was trying to work on my Shakespeare paper, but I couldn't. I was so sad. And instead, I put on my Blue Christmas Lights, and I just wallowed in the Indigo Girls. I just wallowed. And I was so sad. And this went on for a long time. And then there was a knock at my door. And I was like, oh. And I go to the door, and I open it, and it's Jean-Claude at my door. And he's like, Margot. And I was like, oh, hi. What are you doing here? And he's like, well, can I talk to you? I wanted to talk. And I go, yeah, sure, come in. And he comes in, and he kisses me. And I started chills, right? And I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? And then I said, but after he kissed me, and I'm trying to be cool, but instead I go, what was that for? Like, I should have like poked out my collar and been like, hot enough for you? Like, that was so terrible. What was that for? And he goes, Margot, you know, I've been admiring you since that night I met you in front of the theater building, and I was intrigued, but I didn't know if you liked me. He's like, I'd pass you on campus, you wouldn't look at me, so I didn't think you were interested. And he's like, and then you came to my lunch table today with that dirty girl. And I was like, she's flirting with me. This girl knows what she wants. And I was like, oh my God. So we make out all night while the Indigo Girls sing through their flannel t-shirts. And we dated for 2 years, guys. 2 years. And it was the worst relationship of my life. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still traumatized from a lot of events that happened in those 2 years. But let's end on a happy note. It started off really, really good. So thank you.